Abortion access has been under attack, but scrappy communities are coming together to ensure abortion care is attainable.
And abortion restrictions don't just hurt abortion seekers, they also make IVF and fertility treatments more dangerous for people.
And our special guest, Ngumezi, will share the heartbreaking story of losing his wife because Texas's abortion ban hinders doctors' decision-making.
All of this is coming up on this episode of the Feminist Buzzkills podcast, the only podcast Bradley Cooper hasn't come on to deny the plastic surgery allegations.
He's welcome to try, though. I'm Moji and that was my guest co-host, AAF head writer Alyssa Al-Dookhi. Welcome, Dooks.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Moji. I think you had an upper bliff.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah.
Lizz is away fighting the fight somewhere else. Dooks, I love it when you bring your brilliance as a buzzkill. We've got a lot going on in the show, so let's get to it.
We saw a surprisingly great article this week from Fox News, of all places.
The link for this is in the show notes, but don't click this one. Just trust us, bro.
Yeah, no, we've got the facts. We read the article briefly. The article is about a study by the dorks at Students for Life that revealed that students at Christian colleges are actually more pro-abortion than ever. Yay!
I feel like you're throwing that word study out there real fast and loose as though it actually means what we think it means.
Yeah, no, we don't really trust their fact getting, but if they're going to put out facts that benefit us, if they can make shit up, I'm going to choose to believe what I want to believe. There are actually numbers attached to this. They looked at 725 quote unquote Christian identified schools. And the numbers they got was that abortion related campus support increased by nearly 20% right after Roe was overturned in 2022.
So basically they did a non-study and they said these places that we think are Christian places saw that abortion care had evaporated and was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, like, what are the parameters they're basing this on? There's just like any college that like brands themselves as Christian, because Christian is a branding, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And like the infractions were mostly just like telling people abortion was healthcare.
Wait, what do you mean by infractions?
So they like gave them a rubric and graded these colleges like A+ through F for how anti-abortion they could possibly be. Again, who made this up? Who is in charge?
They did a non-accredited gradation of colleges.
The organization Students for Life, yes.
So what is some of the, like, what are the examples of the things that were like pro-abortion?
Basically recommending people go to Planned Parenthood. Anything where Planned Parenthood came up were 26% of the quote unquote infractions that they came up with.
Well, what's funny is what got you an A grade was sending someone to a fake clinic. They were literally, when I read it, was like, when they send people to a pro-life pregnancy support. And I'm like, oh, so they're asking to send students not to real healthcare, but to fake healthcare.
Okay, gross. Well, did a lot of them get A's?
No.
Remember,
after Roe, the support for abortion increased by 20%. But at this point, it's apparently by their metric at like 38%.
At this point, they got to stop reporting on this if they want to keep their shit together. Like, we're telling you guys as the enemy, stop studying this.
Also, like, we know that side creates studies essentially out of thin air, right? We have the Miffy study that is obviously bullshit. We have like Charlotte Lozier Institute, which again likes to just like make up a vibe and call it a study. And it's interesting to see Students for Life sticking their toe in this dirty water.
Yeah, especially because like if you look at the name, these are people who also have like a chem midterm coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like they have other shit going on. So this was their internship, was going and trying to get abortion information at all the 725 Christian colleges.
Well, that's funny. And unfortunately, the only people reporting on this is Fox News. So again, the link will be there, but we ask you maybe don't click it. Before we get to our big story, we want to remind you that the Feminist Buzzkills podcast has a Patreon, and our Patreon can use your support. So, you know, our Patreons get birthday shout outs, and some tiers also get teas and other cool merch.
If you aren't already a Patreon member, sign up now. You can pledge at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills. All tiers support the work we do here at Abortion Access Front.
Yeah, please join us. We could use the support, and we love to have more Patreons. Now let's get to some of the Abobo news that people may have missed.
Today, we were inspired by the Golden Globes to give out a few of our own special awards. It was a big week for abortion pill it girl mifepristone, starting with Senate hearings in which Missouri Senator and possible vampire Josh Hawley and other conservatives jockeyed for most clippable word salad, while abortion proponents made clear what we've always known: mifepristone is safe, effective, and none of their damn business.
Fuck yeah.
And the award in this category goes to, little drum roll, please, Dr. Nisha Verma for Most Interrupted Woman. Thank you. Thank you so much for your tireless service against those who wish to eliminate abortion pills and create a de facto national abortion ban, Dr. Verma. We are sending you a care package, and in it, there's some garlic and a crucifix for the next time you encounter Senator Hawley.
I keep garlic just in case Holly's nearby.
Yeah, in my pants.
Present at the hearings was gender traitor and Louisiana Attorney General Lizz, who this week announced felony charges against a California doctor who sent abortion pills to a Louisiana resident. California Governor Gavin Newsom rejected the request, responding with a slightly more gubernatorial version of "get fucked, creep." Congrats to the winner of the abortion pill's biggest hater award, AG Lizz. We wish you luck on your next anti-abortion endeavor, liberating all the babies from king cakes.
Good luck with that one, Liz. And finally, South Carolina comes in with the big win for the most anti-abortion just in general award. The SC State House focused on mifepristone and misoprostol, where a House subcommittee advanced a bill to eliminate abortion medication in the Palmetto State, and heard another that would classify abortion as murder. In related news, New Jersey just announced their new summer slogan contest, in which the last beach on the East Coast where it's safe to have a one-night stand and Gym Tan Laundry Abortion are currently tied for first.
I think I'm voting for Gym Tan Laundry Abortion because why not?
Yeah, I just need that on a t-shirt, actually. Ooh, t-shirt idea?
Hell yeah. Our big stories are coming up soon, but we want to let you know some of the fun stuff we have coming up.
For the third year in a row, Michael Shannon and Jason Al-Dookhi are going on tour. It's the 40th anniversary of REM's Life's Rich pageant album, and they're traveling around the country performing the entire record.
On the tour, they'll be selling posters and donating proceeds of those sales to benefit our work at AAF. Both Dukes and I have seen the previous concerts, and it's such a good time.
It is the most fun night of the year.
I'm going to agree with you there, actually. There's no disagreement. I think we're both on that. Our AAF colleagues and friends will be at many of the tour stops, so show up, buy a poster, have a great time. The tickets are going fast, but the link to purchase yours will be in the show notes.
Now let's get into the stories we want to break down further. Moji, I believe you're starting us off with good news?
I like to call it less bad news. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, I'll take it.
So pre-Dobbs, abortion access was a patchwork of trap laws and prayer, but access was a constitutional right. After the Dobbs decision, states have been banning abortion left and right. Laws are in free fall, and legislatures are ignoring the will of the voters. But mutual aid, community care, and a strong shot of "fuck it, we're doing it anyway" has allowed communities to build new models of care that have in some ways expanded access for some people.
Right. In a lot of ways, it feels like we've gone backwards, but it sounds like what you're saying is some of that going back includes building community and more grassroots care. And unfortunately, but what we have to do, demedicalizing that care.
Yeah, it has. Actually, Guttmacher reported that 12% more people received abortions from providers post-Dobb in 2024 than in 2020, which is exciting news for the people who can find that care. And some of the ways that happens is that, for an example, in Texas, abortion supporters linked up with activists from Mexico who had long established methods of anonymously connecting people with pills and providing emotional and operational support when self-managing their abortion, and just sort of imported that kind of care into Texas.
Wow. And, you were talking about abortion care in 2020. I imagine telehealth was also a huge part of that changing landscape and part of this patchwork of care that we're kind of creating.
Actually, because COVID happened and we kind of all got a little more comfortable in telehealth care, when the Dobbs decision came, sort of transferring that kind of telehealth care into abortion provision was just a little smoother than it may have been otherwise.
And as we spoke about earlier with this case coming out of Louisiana, shield laws have been a huge part of this. And shield laws are laws that protect doctors, for example, in New York and California and other abortion protective states. And those have been a huge and important tool for getting abortion pills to people in states where it may be banned.
Basically why Gavin Newsom can say "get fucked, creep"
Get
when
fucked,
he needs
creep.
to say it. Also, it was reported that in some religious spaces, I think because it stopped being a constitutional right and people have to look a little harder to find abortion care, unexpected places like religious spaces are just being a little bit more intentional about deconstructing biases around abortion and reproductive health care. And I think even in personal interactions, Dukes, we both work in abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that when you start talking about abortion, everybody talks back to you about abortion. You can actually sort of build intimacy really quickly with people. Once you start telling your abortion story, people will come back and tell you abortion stories that you may have never heard. And this kind of destigmatization is actually really important in this work because we have to find our allies. Like this kind of community care, this sort of decentralized, demedicalized care rather, works when we can trust each other. And part of that is destigmatizing and finding out where your allies are.
Yeah. And to your point, that's so important as we see pregnancy criminalization increase and get scarier and more present. Having allies and knowing who those allies are key. People who are arrested for pregnancy outcomes are primarily identified by people they know and healthcare workers.
That was really poignant to me when we were watching the Senate Miffy hearings, because at the very end, Senator Bill Cassidy said, and they're telling people not to tell their doctors that they've used abortion pills. And it's like, well, if doctors and nurses stopped reporting people to the police, then that would not be salient information.
I mean, we're circling around this concept of who do you trust, and whether it's because they're scared of or unclear of the law. Sometimes your medical professional can be that person that you don't trust.
So again, not great news, but less bad news is what I'm sticking with. This is not the world we hope for. And we know that there's a lot of people suffering and dying. Anyway, these gains are outside of medical spaces, right? These are gains that are basically people caring for each other. This is saying, okay, community care is essential, mutual aid is essential.
And maybe that's working for abortion right now, but the big picture is abortion care is part of pregnancy care. And if we're patchworking our abortion care, we can't really patchwork and unmedicalize pregnancy care. Like, unfortunately, this is just some medical shit that we have going down. And you can't DIY your way around an IVF ban. No matter what conservos want to pretend, abortion care and fertility care are linked.
Yeah, which is why the study basically pointing out that people in states that are abortion restrictive are essentially not getting the care they need when they are having IVF care. It's because abortion care is a little bit of IVF care, and not having that access makes it more dangerous, puts people having fertility care at higher risk for serious maternal health complications.
Yeah, it turns out they keep being pregnant after they get the fertility care they need.
Huh.
And so researchers in this study looked at over 400,000 births conceived through fertility treatments between 2012 and 2021. And what they found was that states enforcing these trap laws saw a statistically significant increase in those maternal complications on the severe side that include more blood transfusions, more trips to the ICU, more unplanned hysterectomies, and more uterine ruptures. Are you hearing what I'm hearing? That means
I hear what you're saying. What I hear is trauma. I hear trauma, and I hear permanently ending someone's ability to carry future pregnancies, which is, it just doesn't feel very pro-life, you know?
it's not giving pro-life, pro-family. So the study then goes into what is the reason for all of this? How many times do we have to go over it? But it's the huge systemic mess of pregnancy and abortion care, right?
Yeah, it happens because clinics are shuttering in restricted states. I mean, remember in Alabama when they passed that law that just closed all their clinics for a few days? Abortion providers are leaving after new laws pass. It's not just abortion providers, it's also OBGYNs,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to be somewhere where you can be criminalized for not watching someone suffer.
Absolutely. Medical students are not getting the education they need, are being discouraged from learning about abortion when it comes to OBGYN care. It turns out the people who know a lot about pregnancy also know a lot about abortion.
And also, medical students that are interested in learning about this or are interested in going to OBGYN don't follow residencies in states that are restricted. And that means, and a lot of times where someone goes for residency, they just stay and build a life. And so a lot of doctors or med students are deciding, I don't even want to have to deal with this. I'm just going to stay in New York and California.
Yeah. I mean, and this is just creating huge pregnancy care deserts because you have to know about abortion to know about pregnancy. I mean, going through a fertility treatment at IVF is so intense. I cannot imagine planning and paying and the time and the pain you put your body through. And then the doctor who's helping me doesn't know what to do if something goes wrong.
Or knows what to do, but the laws of the state are tying their hands.
Yeah.
It's really, really terrifying. And like you're there getting fertility treatments because you have an increased risk of something going wrong. You have an increased risk of complication. You have an increased risk, and that's why you need IVF and fertility care.
Absolutely. And that is the situations that abortion bans put us in. It's this sick cycle. Unrealistic views of pregnancy lead to unrealistic views of abortion, which leads to old men with too much power and not enough copies of our bodies ourselves making laws about things you can't possibly legislate.
We should just mail them copies of our bodies ourselves.
I think we should mail them one a week, different editions.
And of course, the result is impossible choices, families ripped apart, pregnant people dying, and we're going to get into one of their stories.
In June 2023, Porsha Ngumezi was 35, a mother of 2 and 11 weeks pregnant when she began miscarrying in Texas. She went to the ER bleeding heavily and continued to hemorrhage for hours. Medical experts later said what she needed was routine, life-saving care, an emergency D&C. Instead, she was told to wait, but the bleeding didn't stop, and Porsha died.
Her death was preventable. Doctors who reviewed her case say abortion bans and the fear around them pushed providers away from the established standard of care, even though she was experiencing a miscarriage with no fetal heartbeat. Porsha's story is an example of the human cost of abortion bans, and that sort of devastation continues when routine care is criminalized. Today, we're joined by her husband, who will remind us of how loved she was. Please welcome Hope Ngumezi. Hi, Hope.
Hi, welcome to the podcast.
Hope, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we're just going to jump right into it. I would love for you to start by just telling us who was Porsha and just tell us one story that captured what you love about her.
That question is always a tough one for me because, you just have to figure out a couple adjectives to describe her, but Porsha was extraordinary. She was driven, loving, caring. She showed up for everybody. She loved our family. She was committed to our family and her family. The story that comes to my head is when I first met her. I was in college, 2008. I seen her before and I liked her and everything like that, but I never knew how to approach her. And then my 21st birthday party, I had a birthday party at my dorm, and one of her friends invited her to my party, which I didn't know about. And she came to my party, and I've been drinking, so 21st birthday. And I remember she came, and I was like, oh crap, I got sober up, man. Like, this might be my chance. So I went to the restroom, splashed water on my face, came back out there. I sat on the couch with her and I started talking to her. And I don't remember much that night, but I remember our conversation. And I just remember how warm it felt talking to her, how beautiful she looked. And we talked about everything. And from that moment, that's where it all started, We just started getting closer and closer. And before you know it, we're boyfriend and girlfriends. And then we're married. And then now we're family. So I always think about that moment because if I did not approach her, I would have not be able to be with such an awesome, extraordinary person. Being with Porsha, I always felt like I won the ultimate lottery. I always do this gratitude kind of thing. When I wake up, always happy that I have her in my life. That's the story I like to share with you guys.
Beautiful story. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for telling us about Porsha's life and feeling the love that you two shared through hearing it through you is really powerful, especially because of the way most of the world unfortunately met her. But, we'd love to hear in your own words, what were the circumstances that led to Porsha's death?
Honestly, the circumstances came down to fear. Doctors knowing what to do, but fear stopped them from doing what they're supposed to do. They left us in the hospital and Porsha bled, even though we had life-threatening situation, still not no type of action.
Every time we hear stories like this, it's heartbreaking and devastating. How did your experience change your view of the medical system, if at all?
Turned it upside down. I believed in the medical system, right? I believe once you go to the hospital, whatever medical issue you may have, they'll treat it to the best of their abilities. They went to medical school, they trained for it. They're here to treat or to take care of you, whatever medical condition it may be. And I thought that, with the oath that they take, politics is just, they keep it out of the medical system, fear to keep it out. So that was my belief coming, with the hospitals now. But now it's just been turned upside down. Now that I see that politics, how it can infiltrate the medical system, cause fear amongst the doctors and the staff and in the hospital. And now that with that happening, we don't get the care that we need based on that. So it's been very tarnished, especially now that I gotta go to the hospital, of course, for routine care, and my kids gotta go. And it's not as hard for me to actually just believe that the system would do its job.
The central piece of this story is a procedure called a DNC,
Mhm.
which stands for dilation and curettage. And this is historically and globally a very common procedure that is necessary when you are caring for a uterus in different stages of pregnancy. What does it mean to you now, knowing that this routine life-saving procedure is treated as suspect or taboo in the US, like you said, has all this fear surrounding it?
It just feels like medicine just stopped being medicine, right? Life care or just, caring for a patient, it became too political. And once it moved to that realm, people die. No action is being taken because we have all these political laws that's just infringing on the action that the doctors must take. So
You spoke earlier about when we asked you about how it changed your view of the medical system, if at all, how we still need medical care, right? We have these bodies that need caring for in all stages. You have children who need care. You have your body who needs care. You have other friends and families, who need care, different kinds of medical care. Can you speak on how cherry picking what counts as healthcare impacts the level of care that we all get?
So when you're deciding what care is good and what care is bad, that's when it becomes a huge problem. Especially when some folks are not professional licensed medical doctors or haven't been in the medical field, and they're the ones picking which medical procedure is right and which medical procedure is wrong. And now, you kind of create that, not confusion, but fear.
Mm-hmm.
And now doctors can't act, hospitals delaying a lot of stuff, and the patients get the ugly end of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just seems like the universe of our body is infinite, and there's no way that you can create laws to account for all of the things that could possibly happen to a body in this life.
Right. I mean, you just gotta let medicine be medicine.
Mhm.
Adding politics to medicine it gets really messy.
I think for me, that's part of what's really heartbreaking about Porsha's stories and stories that are similar to hers, that
Mhm.
it's not like the technology or the know-how doesn't exist, right? We know that there's some cancers doctors don't know how to treat. We know there are lots of other things that happen that people don't know how to treat, but the kind of care that she needed to be here for you and your family is well within the realm of any doctor.
I hate to go back and think about it, but there's times where I do think about it, like it wasn't something that was far out where she needed a transplant. This was something that was very routine that people do it everywhere in different countries.
In different states.
Yeah, miles away from each other. Final question for you, Hope, and thank you so much for being here. What we want to know is, what lessons do you think listeners should take from Portia's story, especially for people who think this can't happen to me?
I hate to say it because I felt like that too. And I heard things, but no, we should be okay. And now the reality is it can happen to you. And so now we're at a point where we need to speak up. We got to be brave and speak up and just demand that, we can't be bringing politics into something that, a field where it potentially saving people's lives. We can't add these barriers to these doctors where they cannot put the patient's needs first. So people that's listening, speak up. You got to ask the right questions now when you go to the hospital. You got to ask questions where if something happens, what are you going to do about it? And what is your capability? Are you going to start researching the laws and stuff and seeing how it impact the certain procedure that you might be going to get? Now it's not like it used to be where you can just go to the hospital and you can take their word for it and stuff. Now you have to do your own research. You have to ask the right questions now.
Hope I know that Duke said that was the last question, but I actually have one more because you are a person who's gone through this, right? Who had to experience their partner passing by a wholly preventable cause. You've been relatively outspoken about your experience and sort of sharing this with people. Have you felt like you've gotten support from your community in helping you through this, or found a community of people that can support you through this who may have gone through similar things?
Yeah, I've gotten so much support, and it's just crazy because, when I started, I wasn't sure who was going to hear my story. I wasn't sure if people was going to care about my story, because I really felt like it was just going to be covered. No one's not going to hear about it. But now that I put my story, and I was afraid to put my story out there. But when I did, the support I got from a lot of folks, a lot of people I didn't know, sending me messages, encouraging me, even like in Houston and stuff, I've had a lot of support, a lot of help, just to help guide me, stay positive with me, encourage me, give me tips I need to take care of my kids and stuff. So it's been very welcoming, and it's been very nice that people are receiving my story and people are reaching out to just make sure I'm okay.
What were you afraid of?
I think my fear, and I battled this a lot, was I felt guilt where I couldn't save her. And I was afraid, I wanted to put her story out there. I did. I just felt so, I felt that guilt, like I failed. And I think it took some time, but, I heard her talk to me, and it was like, it's time for you to be brave. So that's why I'm here.
It's time for you to be brave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've heard this from many people. From what I understand of her story, it happened so fast, there was nothing you could have done.
True. We did everything right. We did everything right. And so understanding that, learning that, has helped. But I think right now, me advocating for Porsha, continuing to tell her story, continue to fight for her, that's me showing up for her, being brave for her, and just keeping her name alive.
I think I can speak for everyone at Feminist Buzzkills and at Abortion Access Front. We commend and appreciate your bravery and see it. I couldn't imagine going through what you're going through, and it breaks my heart.
Thank you.
It really does. And so your bravery is a light and an inspiration, I think, for all of us.
Thanks. That really means a lot. And I want my boys to see that. We never stopped for Porsha. We never stopped for mommy. And I just want them to know, their dad just kept on fighting.
It's beautiful. Hope, thank you for joining us. Is there any organization you're working with, or any fund that you work with, or anything you want to shout out?
I've been working with Abortion in America, and they really have helped get her Porsha story out. So I would like to give them a shout out for the continued support that they have gave me, and is for allowing me to use their platform to share Porsha's story. I want to thank you guys too for allowing me to come onto your platform and share Porsha's story.
I want to thank you again for coming and being brave with us and sharing Porsha's story with us, and for the continued work you do in her honor.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. If you're feeling moved to action by Hope's story, you can support Texans getting abortion care by donating to the T Fund at www.teafund.org, or Fund Texas Choice at fundtexaschoice.org. As always, these stories will be in the show notes, and you can find the best, most up-to-the-minute resources on accessing abortion care and funding your care at our website, aafront.org. Our Charlie chatbot on the bottom right will walk anyone anywhere in the country through their options and resources for abortion.
We do the show because this info is not given enough attention in the media. So help us spread the word and show us some love by liking, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star rating. Every bit helps us reach more listeners.
And of course, we couldn't do today's show without support from our fake sponsor.
So often we come home late after work and don't have the energy to dig around the internet looking for a healthy serving of news that is yummy and satisfying. That's why I get HelloFresh Hell delivered right to my home.
HelloFresh Hell will develop news meal plans specifically for you, created to satisfy your appetite for taking in all ways the DEIs are getting what's coming to them.
Why not kick back and savor a delicious Texas-style abortion ban steeped in a white supremacy reduction and finish it off with a just dessert like a judge upholding a triple-layer pre-Civil War abortion ban?
Yummy, yummy. Whatever satiates your appetite for punishing the wokety wokes, HelloFresh Hell delivers. It's a steady, high-barb, fact-free news diet. Head to whatfreshhellisthis.com and get $6.66 off your first 3 orders by entering our promo code FeministBuzzKillMe at checkout.
Hello Fresh Hell, piping hot takes made to order.
I feel like I get enough of that reading the abortion news every morning.
I mean, I feel like that is just the news.
That is just the news.
Just the news. I think I open the news apps and I'm like, oh, what fresh hell is this? And here it is.
That's an algorithm. And also, that's our show. Thanks for listening. And thanks again to Hope Ngumezi.
Thank you, Hope. That was such a beautiful interview. Did we make you smarter? Did we make you laugh today? If so, show us some love by liking, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star rating. And if you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon. You'll support great content and get cool FBK merch and experiences. As always, all pledges support this pod and all of our activism at Abortion Access Front. Pledge at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills.
Plus, Abortion Access Front brings the news and info every day, so stay connected with us on social media at Abortion Front across all platforms. With your help, we can get more people to learn about this assault on abortion access.
Now that we've got you informed, let's get you activated. Check out our awesome Operation Save Abortion trainings at operationsaveabortion.com. You can get an abortion activist glow up and learn about all the areas abortion providers and patients need your help.
And while you're there, poke around our super cool activist calendar. It's full of local and national actions and educational opportunities, so you can dive right in. Again, all of that is at operationsaveabortion.com.
AAF offers many other opportunities, and one of our favorites is our mutual aid program called Adopt a Clinic. Adopt a Clinic is a great way for the public to support independent clinics, abortion funds, clinic escort groups, and patients directly by ordering much-needed items from their wish lists.
And this week, while all eyes are on Minnesota, we are showcasing We Health Clinic, an indie abortion clinic in Duluth, Minnesota. Their wish list includes things like blankets and menstrual products for patients, office supplies for staff, and hand warmers, and umbrellas for clinic escorts.
And if you want even more ways to get involved, sign up to volunteer. We need you. Go to our website, aafront.org, fill out the volunteer form, and let's figure it out together.
We're going to be dark next week here on the Feminist Buzzkills podcast because we'll be watching the March for Life and prepping our report of all of what the anti-abortion movement is cooking up for 2026. We'll be sure to fill you in when we're back on the 30th of January.
Dooks, thank you so much for joining me this week.
Thank you, Moji, darling, for having me. It's been a delight.
Always such fun. FBK is edited by Remy de Tournay and is produced by Jin Moon for Abortion Access Front. Peace, deuces.
Feminist Buzzkills, the podcast from Abortion Access Front. New episodes drop Friday. When BS is poppin', we pop off. And if you want to support our podcast and all the work of Abortion Access Front, like, subscribe, and join our Patreon at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills.